Right, well, we'll start this video, even though the printer's still printing the service manual. We've got a breakerphone, Binatone Breakerphone. So this is one that looks like a telephone handset and is one of these remote things, a very high quality connector, and you could at the time buy an extension cable so you could put this, say, in the boot of the car and have the handset at the front, and thus have extended local remote to put it in properly. And we do have at Tango Towers one of these extension cables. I think they were $34.95 at the time. They certainly weren't cheap, but that is what one looked like. 4-meter extension lead. So I thought I'd show that. They're the kind of thing that come up on eBay from time to time. By the way, we've got realistic 2003 ones in stock here, and we could sell those, but they'd be excruciatingly expensive, like $34.95 each. Right, so if we plug the two together, we've got a fighting chance. These are more sophisticated than most of the other sets like this. Now, the realistic, which I've just mentioned, the 2003, it has a conventional channel selector switch, an LED display, and it just has a pile of wires goes down the big cable and back again. But this uses serial data. So it has a chipset which Sanyo developed, and it does it through serial data. I think the Audio Line 342 does as well, if I remember right. What's nifty is that this says PA when you switch it to PA in the window, which is part of that chip generating it. Now, yeah, we've all seen that now, but in 1981, that was pretty nifty and state of the art. They were $109.95, and by shopping around, you could usually pick them up for $99.95. Whichever end I open up will be the wrong end. That's the wrong screwdriver, so that's a good start. May as well continue how we're going to and use all the wrong things. Can't remember whether you've got to open both ends up. The only letdown is squelch. It's as weak as dishwater. And these days, you don't have to pretend that you've got a car phone, do you? Why is that bent? Of course, I've opened the wrong end. That's what we thought. I will still need to just be in there, because I'm quite sure it won't be doing 4 watts just like that. The gentleman says it works. It's here for a service. See, Binatone had some unusual sets. And although the Route 66 wasn't the best offering on the UK CB market, most of the other sets were. And that's bent as well. Right, I will power this up. And we have got nothing. Well, it's not surprising because I haven't connected it up to my short-circuiting crocodile clips. I don't want a video to go by when I haven't short-circuited those. Let's try again. Wow. I think it boots up on channel 1. So, internal speaker, external speaker. Now I've got that in the wrong position because I wanted it. So take notice, the red one is extension speaker, the black one is PA speaker. Switch to PA. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. That does a lot of nothing. Testing 1, 2. One, two, testing. Okay, PA is not working. Right, let's get our clipboard and see what it's doing out of the box. No meter, suits me down to the ground. These controls can easily be a bit iffy and difficult to clean, but this one's alright. We've now got low volume. Switch it off. Switch it back on again. Channel 20. Now we haven't got low volume. That's 1 microvolt, so it's receiving alright. It's going to transmit. I switch picture and picture on. And put the test set into the 3 watt scale. Don't seem to think most of these do 4 watts. Now that is a bit of a dirty PTT switch. It's doing more than 3 watts, which is great news. 3.1. Let's go to channel 40. Yeah, it's the PTT switch which was causing that no receive. 3 watts on 40. And on channel 1, 2.9 watts. On low power, it is 320 milliwatts. Back to full power, and the current consumption, we can actually make it go into transmit, 773 milliamps. Very efficient. We won't be doing the VCO today. Deviation for what it's worth on this test set. Wow, I have no transmitted audio, but we've got no PA. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Wallow. 1, 2. It's up. It's intermittent. It's the PTT switch again. Wallow. One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2. Wallow. 1.5. I think they tend to be a bit on the low side. Frequency. We've been on a few hours. I did start on a D'Amico convoy yesterday and start on another D'Amico convoy today, and both have had to have parts ordered. $27,791.05, it's virtually spot on. Receive. Let's go over to SINAD meter, which is waltzing about. Put a bit more volume on. .5. .44. Now here's the fun bit, squelch. So set the squelch to threshold. Switch the signal generator back on. It's 0.3. And then we'll set the signal generator back on, put the squelch to full. See what, I'll go over to the attenuator so you can see what I'm doing. We're at 0.3 of a microvolt, 1 microvolt. Maximum squelch is 0.74 microvolts. What was I saying about a wishy-washy squelch? Probably squelch out about S4 if you're lucky. So the sockets are alright, nothing else is. So what I'll do, I'll pause the video while I put together this service manual. So because I paid good money for a service manual at the time, like the rest of these sets, we've got the service manual. Now if you ever see one being pedalled around with the black marks, you know it's being copied from mine, because I had an inkjet cartridge which decided it was going to leak, and that's what's caused it to the master. So, oh, we've bound one of those in. How stupid was that? Right, here we go. It's all typed. How to set the VCO, we don't need to do that. So, we know CT1 is the reference. You know what, we may as well do that right away. So yeah, it's basically working, but it needs a bit of TLC to get away with that PTT switch. And I hope there's something we can do with that. We're just cleaning it, because with a set like this, there's so many special parts that there's not a lot you can do. There's a lot of Sanyo stuff in this. The Sanyo audio IC, Sanyo synthesizer, and so it goes on. Let's go back to the main meter. Go to transmit, and we'll adjust the. We won't go to the main meter, we'll go to the frequency counter. Sure, that pen's running out. Okay, transmit. Channel 20. Adjust VR splodge. T4567L2. T4567 and L2. And it's clockwise for power. It's supposed to do 3.6 watts. See if the layout's a bit clearer. You know what? It's superb. clarity. T4 and 5, that's those. So what else did it say? T4, 5, 6, 7. Six and 7 on the other side, and then L2. Back to the main meter. We're looking for the centre of the peak. Both those were spot on. Turn it over. That was spot on. That was spot on. Okay, we've got 3.4 watts. That's 3.4 real watts. Like 70 target watts. Channel 1. 3.3, channel 40, 3.4, back to channel 20, I'm not going to put the bottom on because I know perfectly well it'll need to come off again. Even though I've got no reason to think it would. Let's go to low power. 340 milliwatts. And a current consumption now 820 milliamps. Deviation we'll do with the test set behind me. This is going to be fun. I'll have to try and address this switch problem. I can assure you it's no laugh taking these apart. Well, it's easy to take it apart, it's putting it back together and dressing the cable such as it will go back together. So we're hoping it's just dirt in the switch. I'll turn the power off because I want to waggle that around a bit. Let's get that sprayed with service oil switch cleaner. At least it's constructed such that you can get it in. What I'm going to do is going to put the lid back on and try not to crush these wires. So I'm going to put one screw in slightly, and make sure these wires are pushed in. I'll switch the power back on. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Testing 1 2, testing 1 2. Right, well that seems to have sorted it. We'll go back to deviation. Wallow. 1 2 1 2, wallow. One, two, 1 2. We've got no deviation again. Let's wait up. Wallow. It's wallow. It's 1.5. Don't think we can get them that high. And it's the adjustment which we can't see. It says adjust. They've said modulation, but they mean deviation. They're not on AM. No, we can't see that. Actually, there aren't that many adjustments, so the hand-drawn circuit diagram. We've got a non-hand-drawn circuit diagram as well. It's probably the only preset in it. Well, I've got one there, VR1. Definitely not on the other side. Let's look at the layout just in case. At least it tells you what wires go where when you replace the cable with the cable you can't get. I can't see any others, it's going to be that. Wallow. 1 2 1 2. Testing 1 2 1 2. Testing 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 1 2. Okay, so it's got this anomaly with the no transmitted audio, or intermittent, and I thought we'll have a look at the circuit diagram. Because it's an electric condenser mic, it has to be supplied by power, so we have a resistor 96 there, or is it 76? 2.2k, so I thought the best thing to do is to see on the multimeter if we've got a voltage on that wire, and we have. As I'm probing around, we've got audio coming back, so we've either got a broken track or we've got a dry joint on this handset board, which is just what we want, isn't it? Of course, it's a double-sided board, and it can have. These aren't plated through; they're hand soldered through on links. Let's go back into PA. I'm tempted to solder up those interboard links for a start and see where we are from there. So there appears to be a crack in the printed circuit board. Well, that could have been a mark. No. But there is somewhere. Right, folks, well, I've got to the bottom of it. It was, well, where's my pointer? It was this plated through pin here. So now we've got transmit every time. 1, 2, 1, 2, and hopefully we'll have PA. 1, 2, 1, 2. There we go. Now this is going to be the time-consuming thing where we actually put the thing back together. What fun! Right, we'll get back to where we were, which was doing the deviation. So, listening on our monitor receiver, and switch to PA, testing 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's cured PA. See how useful it is when sets have PA. So you know that the fault isn't to do with the way the FM's generated. Right, back to my other deviation meter, not on the screen. I'm glad he said this. He thought this set was working. There we are, deviation set.
Testing 1, 2, testing 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, testing.
Right. So it was 1.5, it's now 2.2 to 2.5. Yes, yes. Dry joint. Through link. PCB, intermittent audio on TX plus PA. That's taken a good hour. Right, receive absolutely superb as it was for what this is. let's go through the manual. Receiver adjustment. T3 is... yeah, it's not that sophisticated a receiver, is it? T3 is the detector. That one, surely. Relay 3, relay 2, L1, T3 is the detector, and T1 and 2, right. Right, signal generator to 2779125, which it already is. Let's go to the oscilloscope. 100 microvolts. Bit of volume. If you think those controls are noisy, they're brilliant on these. They can be really dire. It was absolutely spot on. Let's go over to this SINAD meter. Set it for about there. Well, I'll tell you what, we've gained some there, haven't we? Drop the attenuator. We've gained some there as well. Let's go back on the other one. That's it. It's very simple. Get a new reading. 12 dB 0.34. $10 dB. 0.29, 20 dB, 0.8. The squelch will just be as loud. There's no adjustment for that. So squelch to, I'll put the attenuator back on so you can see where we are. So squelch to threshold, signal generator back on. 0.26 and full squelch 0.62. And you've got no RF gain to make the squelch more effective, so it's a bit of a not the set to have if you live in a town. So there you go, we're done. That took some doing. And you get that silly little speaker in the handset for what it's worth. Of course, you're only supposed to be listening to it with it up to your ear. Right. I thought that was going to be a straightforward retune and test, but it wasn't. Check PA again.
Testing 1 2, testing 1 2.
Good. So basically we've cleaned this PTT switch, we've chased the dry joint. I had to chase it in here as well just in case. Gone over a few things which were a bit iffy, and then done a retune and test. But now these are 40 years old, you can't expect them not to have some issue. But this is in nice condition. Right, it's one on the roof aerial. One on a Roger. No, Roger. Good. Right, well there we are. That ends that video. So another one sorted out. Thanks for watching Binatone Breakerphone from 1981.